A bombshell study just revealed that GLP-1 drugs don't actually work the same for everyone. Your genes determine whether the injections work at all and whether you'll suffer the side effects. At nearly $1,000 a month, that's a brutal gamble millions of Americans are unknowingly taking. This is why I love GLP-1 Elevate. Instead of a pharmaceutical gamble, it uses clinically studied plant-based ingredients like metabolate to help my body naturally boost its own GLP-1 signals, the ones controlling hunger and fullness. No prescription, no needle, no genetic lottery. I get fewer cravings. I feel fuller faster and actually keep my results without the metabolic crash. Folks, I got to tell you, I've been on it now for a couple of months and I have noticed a difference. But you got to do it every day. One in the morning, one in the afternoon before my evening meal, and I've noticed a difference. Folks, get 51% off at www.trimwithla.com. Every order includes a free VIP coaching for life, a 60-day money-back guarantee, and free express shipping with subscriptions. Head to www.trimwithla.com. I've noticed a difference, and Peggy's going to try it soon.
L.A. Marzulli, it's always great to have you with us. And you and I both saw something, and we were texting about it yesterday. This Disclosure Day trailer that it says it's the final one before the movie comes out. And I watched it, you watched it, and actually did a reaction video to it yesterday, which I want to encourage everybody to watch that full breakdown. But you texted me and said, let's do something about this here for the Charisma audience. And so I really appreciate you wanting to help us understand this, what's happening and what we're preparing for. So LA, thanks for being here, brother.
It's an honor. It's always good to be, Charisma's got two of my books that are published, and both of them are doing really well, especially Rungs of Disclosure. That's, as we speak, I think today's number 3 in its genre. Over the weekend was number 1. So it's, people are accessing it because it's got answers from a biblical perspective, which is biblical worldview, which is what we want. But yeah, this latest trailer, they're calling it the final trailer, was very disturbing, very disturbing. And at the end, are you going to roll the trailer at all?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll it.
Yeah.
I don't care about the monetization of it, because this is an important thing to do. And actually, LA, now this is 2 for 2 that we try to talk about Disclosure Day, that we have technical issues that we never have. Many times now, and we are having these same technical issues. The file that I'm trying to play is not a large file at all. It's only 30 something megabytes.
Yeah.
And this is what we're dealing with right now. There is more of a spiritual aspect to this that people will realize. But here's the trailer.
I am much more inclined now than I was when I made Close Encounters to really believe that we're not the only intelligent civilization in the universe.
What did you steal?
Secrets. People have a right to know the truth.
This is a story about us, all of us,
Good morning, Kansas City.
up against the most extraordinary event in human history.
Now, we've talked about this scene before, LA, where Emily Blunt is dealing with a possession at this point. She's live on air and she's dealing with a possession. And it's unnerving for sure. And it seems that everybody's watching her, where if something were to happen like this in a normal news situation, where there's been times where people have actually fainted in live news. And it's just kind of like, okay, it makes, it might make us short on social media, but it's not going to get this type of attention that they're showing here.
No way.
What's going on, LA?
Well, Spielberg filmically is signaling, because, you start showing everybody's on their iPhones like this. They're all looking at their iPhones, and it's a global event. It's absolutely a global event, even though it's only showing, let's say, in America per se.
Yeah.
But it's a global event. And when it cuts to the newscast or we interrupt this program, it's a global event. So we're looking at full disclosure. And this is the movie. We don't have full disclosure. We have people in Congress, we have whistleblowers, we have our government releasing two files, and you're still not as good as this UFO right there, the Convergence UFO from 2009, Dr. Roger Lear. And all of a sudden now, this is coming out of the woodwork. Other people have found it in 2007 and 8, and they're running with it because it's just unbelievable footage.
Yeah.
We have a woman that's come on the show. Her name is Deb, and she's an artist. She's retired, but she's an artist. She caught art at the collegiate level. And so she went into this picture and put a filter on it, several filters on it, and the aliens come right in with the big black eyes. So it's this thing is gaining traction in ways that I've never seen. It's just unbelievable.
But with this trailer specifically, what's really unnerving to me is the fact that you see the director talking about this film. That's something that I don't normally see. Once in a while you might see an interview with the director, but here he is specifically talking about this, and this is part of the promotion for the film.
Exactly.
And he talks about some very interesting things from his previous works, and I'm going to let you comment about that after we stop this next time.
Sure.
What's happening to me? I'm frightened. I'm frightened out of my wits.
You don't need to be. You have someone else.
Daniel Kellner,
Who is this?
do not go back to the house. They found you. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you.
The human race cannot accept what we know. We need to stop it any way we can.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
This 79-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
Okay, he just said something very chilling. This 79-year cover-up has to end. LA, what happened 79 years ago?
79 years ago, this is what we got. This is July 8th, and you'll notice that the board that they show, disclosure, right? This is a slate.
Yep.
And the one that they show in the movie is a real slate. It's not a whiteboard. It's a slate. It's chalk. And it says July 7th when they're emptying, when they actually got there. So this is what we have. This is July 8th. So at this point, Dr. Jesse Marcel Sr., the intelligence officer of the 509th Bombing Group, has already brought back the wreckage. And remember, it's a skip site. So the saucer comes in like this. It skips and then goes up again. The skip site is where rancher Mac Brazel discovered the wreckage. And he goes and he shows it to Jesse Marcel Sr. But the saucer continues like this for miles and then crashes. And it's the second crash site is where the bodies are recovered. We were out there. We have two films on Roswell. That's a piece of the metal that we actually dug up in the debris field, in the skip site where it's skipped. And we've had it tested. It's an aluminum alloy, but it's between two known aluminum alloys. So we have two films on Roswell. There it is. RAAF captures flying saucer under inch in Roswell. That's July 8th. Then on the 9th, this is what we get. Da-da-da-da-da. Devil Ramey empties Roswell saucer. And right here it says, Ramey says excitement not justified. It's just a weather balloon. General Ramey says disc is weather balloon. And that begins the 79-year-old cover-up that has been going on for 79 years, which the character in the film, this 79-year-old cover-up has to end. And he's all real passionate about, well, it does. But we now know it's unequivocal. They released film. Oh, it's kind of sketchy, and the thing zips along like this. I'm doing that deliberately. It's because this is what we see. Stuff like this. This is why the Convergence UFO film, which is in our Watcher series and also in our 10 DVD box set. Gotta do your homework, folks. But this is why it's so important, because the craft just sits there. And the videographer has got a zoom lens on his camera, and he shows the moon. Let's say this is the moon way up here, and he shows the craft here, and all of a sudden he zooms in on the craft, and you can see it. And the craft is sitting like this, and the hatch is open, And there are two grays. Yeah, the gray alien, which is also at the end of Spielberg's film.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh,
in
that-
well, you
yep.
can see them as plain as day. As plain as day. And like I was saying, Dev took some filters on the Kumbergaz, and Richard did the same thing, Richard Shaw. Put some filters on it, and there they are with the big black eyes and the big bulbous heads. They are the grays. And we broke that story years ago in Watchers, and that film came from a late Dr. Roger Lear, who was on the shore of Lake Kumbergaz and hired a videographer and filmed it. And Richard had the entire film and went through it frame by frame by frame. And we show that, we show what Richard Shaw discovered. We show that in Watchers 10.
Yeah, which we also talked about in our previous interview. Like I said, I'll link that in the description once this is posted, or once we're no longer live. But let's watch more about this, since they just mentioned that 79-year cover up. I just wanted to make sure that we explain what that is for people, because that's going back to Roswell.
Correct.
We're interrupting our coverage.
How will disclosure change us? I believe for the better. It will remind us of our capacity for empathy, and that there is something bigger out there than just ourselves.
Okay, you heard what Steven Spielberg just said. What do you think about that, LA? Because he's saying this disclosure could be a good thing.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. You don't abduct 5-year-old boys and implant them. You don't abduct girls like this. And just for what it's worth, that stag might not be a stag. Could be something else, looking like a stag. We don't know yet. Just like the gingerbread house, that's not a house. That's the UFO cloaking itself and appearing as a house. This thing is, again, I haven't seen the film yet, so a lot of it's conjecture. But the laws of nature, as we know it, have been completely suspended. You have a cardinal on the stag's antlers. You have a raccoon and a fox. And Spielberg is promulgating in my opinion, with all due respect to him, he's a brilliant filmmaker, but he's promulgating the lie. Because they did not believe the truth, God sends them strong delusion. The Spirit expressly states, 1 Timothy chapter 4, the Spirit expressly states that in the latter days, some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrine of demons. Well, this is exactly where we are. This is where we find ourselves. And we don't know. Look, Scripture tells us, first of all, that Jesus created all things. In the beginning was the Word, Jesus, and the Word was with God. He was with God in the beginning. He was God. All things were made by him. Without him was not anything made that was made. So that's it. That's our Creator. We find out that they're going to roll up the heavens like a scroll. How does that happen? How do you roll up the heavens like a scroll? Going to create a new heaven and a new earth. How do you do that? So the idea that this whole thing could be, teeming with life, in the words of Enrico Fermi, Fermi's paradox, allegedly credited to him at a lunch, one day, he looked at his fellow colleagues and said, if the universe is teeming with life, where the heck is everybody? And they're not here. What we get is this cat and mouse deal with these guys. That's what we get. People are abducted. They come in, they come out. They do nasty things. They implant people. We've taken out one of the implants that's in our film from an abductee. Emil was abducted since he was 5 years old. And
he was abducted since he was 5 years old. That sounds like there was more than one time that he was abducted.
Oh, he was abducted numerous. He even talks about it in the film. He goes, yeah, I'm camping out at my friend's house, and all of a sudden the Greys come over the fence. There they are. They're taking me again. I mean, and same thing with Al Matthews. And Karen, they all said the same thing. They know. And Steven Spielberg actually portrayed this in his film Taken. They know a few seconds before when it's going to happen. We were vacationing with Karen Wilkinson. We published her book, Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. Must read. It's unbelievable. And she was taken numerous times. She was impregnated by them 3 different times. So we're out in Navarre Beach in Florida, your neck of the woods, sort of. We're vacationing. 3 families. We rented this house right on the sand. No other houses around, looking right at the ocean. It's like 9 o'clock at night. and it's kind of dark, not a lot of stars out, and Karen's uneasy, and I can sense that. And I go, "You okay?" And she goes, "No, they're here. They're near us." I go, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah." Then she goes, about a minute or two later, she goes, "Look," and she points, and in the sky, there's a disc just like this, about this big. Doesn't matter, but there's a disc, and it goes like this and gone, just like that. So it wasn't this way. It was turned this way. And it was there, you could plainly see it in the night sky, and it was camouflage, it blended in, and all of a sudden, it's just in a blink of an eye, it's still so, Spielberg talks about it in Taken, Al Matthews talks about it. All these people were abducted numerous times. Al has an implant. I don't think Karen does. Karen's had a lot of health issues because of what happened to her. But Al, had an encounter with a hybrid entity, it's in our film, and this woman, when she went to kiss him, Al pushed her away, and her eyes shapeshifted, and, "What's that about?" And she let out the most evil laugh that you can imagine. So the phenomenon is real, the breeding program is real, it hails back to Genesis 3:15, it ties in with Genesis 6, it ties in to what Jesus said will be like the days of Noah, and unless a person has the proper exegesis of Genesis 3:15, when they get to Genesis 6, they have no idea what they're talking about.
All right.
Or they'll embrace the Sethite theory, which happened in the 4th century. When Jesus is saying to people in Jerusalem, "Be like the days of Noah," they all know what he's talking about. "Oh, you mean the Nephilim? You mean the fallen angels coming down?" Why? Because in Hebron, and I'm correcting myself publicly here, I've been saying in Jerusalem, and I got this from Josephus, it's not. The bones of the Nephilim are openly on display in Hebron, which is about 20 miles from Jerusalem. And a lot of pilgrims coming up to Jerusalem would have gone through Hebron. So the idea is the same. The point I'm trying to make is that the early church fathers and people in Jesus's time knew
Yeah.
exactly what he's talking about, the Nephilim, the commingling of the seed, Genesis 3:15. Well, why would Jesus say we're like the days of Noah? We are in the days of Noah as I speak. Hybrids are being created. This whole thing is happening, and the church, for the most part, is completely asleep. And I just want to take a moment for thanking Charisma for publishing the book, Rungs of Disclosure, because I mean, and we have our interactive website, rungsofdisclosure.com. The book only goes up to the 18th rung. So rather than doing a second or third and fourth edition of the book, I do videos, and you can see rung 19 to 29, rungsofdisclosure.com. But, thank you, Steve Strang, for believing in what we do and taking a risk with us. And thank you, Debbie Murray and Chad and John and all the folks and, at Charisma. It's just, thank you.
Well, this is an important message to get out. And like, I know a few years ago, whenever you and I first started, we did our first interview. It was more of a fascination because we were reading the Bible and talking about some of these oddity things, Nephilim, and somebody said, "You need to talk to L.A. Marzulli." I had already known who you were because of your appearance on It's Supernatural years ago when you were talking about your book On the Trail of the Nephilim. Then we found a connection, booked an interview, and that started this great connection that we have here. And now I think I've done more interviews with you than any other person, which love it.
I'm
And,
honored. Thank you.
and we have the opportunity to say, hey, let's talk about something quickly as it's happening, because we are in a day and age where this disclosure is coming. Like the United States government, yes, there are whistleblowers, but now the United States government has now had 2 times where the government, the War Department, the U.S. Department of War, war.gov/UFO, you can check and see all of the things that they have released so far. There is more to come,
Yeah.
and full disclosure is coming. But Steven Spielberg has been talking about this and preparing this for decades. And we're going to continue to talk about this as we play this film or play this trailer.
You've been deep in how.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began.
I know you.
All right, you said something in your film and your video about those hands right there. What's going on, and what's the predictive programming that's
Well,
happening?
he gave this before. That's in ET. you see E.T.'s finger and the finger the little boy, which is reminiscent. It's a direct reference to Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, the finger of God and the finger of man. Our logo, which is really interesting, I might be able to. Let me see if I can show you this.
The
Yeah,
spiral of life.
yeah, right there. That's our logo.
It's not quite focused, but I think we get the concept there.
Yeah. So you that's a little better. So you can see the hand and then the spiral of life underneath it, which is actually wouldn't it be have another shot of it? No, I don't think so. That's it. But yeah, I mean it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Yeah, here we go. This is better.
Oh, let me zoom in here for you. Yeah. That's the hand from the Sistine Chapel and the double helix.
The DNA molecular
Can't
structure.
tell what that is, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's the DNA molecular structure.
So he's playing into that imagery in this film.
Just like I'm playing into it with our logo. That's our logo, Spiral of Life, because it is. But he's playing in that imagery. And also here you'll notice that her hand is bound. She's got restrainers. So they've been captured. They can't move.
Mm.
So we don't know how they've been captured or well, we kind of know why. But he's like teasing this. So something has happened to them when he was a little boy and she was a little girl, and that has altered their DNA. So
It was chilling whenever they said, I know you, and that's like, whoa, there's more to this than meets the eye.
way more. It's a very complex story, and they know each other. And what is their link with the so-called Greys and the aliens? And that when she manifests in the studio, is something coming through her, or is she talking that language? We don't know. Is she a conduit for these things? We don't know. That's why, in my opinion, that's possession. But I might be wrong. She might actually be talking to them, or is she being a conduit? We just don't know yet. You don't have
And
enough.
there's actually a famous person that he's not famous enough because I keep forgetting his name, but he goes by he channels an entity from the Pleiades, I think.
Yeah.
Bashar.
Sure. I've been trying to get him on my show. He won't come on my show.
You won't lie. I wonder why.
Well, that's
Yeah.
yeah, and he does this all the time. He's always pictured like, and they all do the same thing. They look holy, but yeah, you got something coming in, but it's not what you think.
No,
It's not
no.
what you
But this is, I mean, there's somebody that does that in real life, and he's channeling something, but it's not the deities. We don't believe in that.
No.
But what we're seeing in this trailer, it doesn't look like she's intentionally channeling it. It looks like it is just happening to her, and it's frightening her, obviously.
Well, she was abducted as a little girl.
Yeah.
That's when she's going in the gingerbread house that's all lit up. That's a UFO that's cloaking itself and appearing as a UFO, as a gingerbread house.
Which the Kaburgaz film that you were talking about earlier, that could be what's happening to the people that are being transported in there, because you talk about that as well. So
Yeah.
I know you do.
What could happen to us? I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true?
wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true?
And then the next line after that is the one that made me just
I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know they're coming? All of this is true.
it's some freak me out.
The same creep. Yeah.
So this leads me to believe that the stag that shows up
Yeah.
is not a stag. It's a gray.
Yeah. And I'm going to play this for a second, but the eye looks robotic, which is, we'll come back to that in a moment. All right. So that's the film right there. LA, with that eye looking robotic. I know we've talked about the grays specifically, because we talked about the 4 different types that people have claimed or like given testimony of interacting with. You got the insectoids, the Nords, the reptilian, and the grays.
Correct.
And but you say that the grays are meat suits. They are something that is a non-human biologic.
And that's what that's conjecture. They have bodies with parts that help them move and stuff. But the demon, in my opinion, and some people disagree with this. Demons are the disembodied spirits of a Nephilim. In order for a demon to manifest, they have to inhabit a person or an animal or an object. So the enemy, the dragon Satan, knows this, so he creates these avatars. Whitley Strieber talks about it. Karen Wilkinson talks about it. Al Matthews talks about it. They're meat suits. That's what they are. Emil Jurek, they all say the same thing. They're very robotic-like, and these are avatars. They are meat suits for the demons to inhabit. Then they can move around in our dimension. And this is why, who cares how many of these entities are crashed at a crash site? They don't care. They just make some more. So it's complex. I don't have all the answers. I don't. Nobody does. Well, maybe somebody, in some dark room someplace knows. But it's based on decades and decades of research. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going with right now. So when the deer, the eye, and it changes, and then we see the deer is the deer becoming the gray? Well, that's their shape-shifting, and they're presenting themselves to the little girl in a way that she'll accept. In a way that it's, and Spielberg talks about this in his movie Taken. When they appear to these little boys and little girls, they don't appear as something frightening. They lure them in.
Mm-hmm.
They lure them in a way that the kid will respond to. It's very dark, very, very dark. And, nobody gave these entities permission. And when I used to speak at UFO conferences, I'm not invited anymore. But they don't want to hear, about Jesus, and that's fine. So
They're fascinated with the freak show where you're trying to bring you're trying to bring the truth to
Yeah, you're not interested in that.
Yeah.
No, they're not interested. But I've seen stuff, and I've been told stuff at some of these conferences it'll curl your hair. It's just unbelievable. But I'll ask the audience, how many of you think it's okay to abduct a 5-year-old boy and implant them? Anybody? Raise your hand. Never a hand goes up. Maybe at one conference, one hand went up. Well, you just checked your mind out of the door, haven't you? Nobody ever says it's okay. And I go, you've proven my point. I don't even have to give my presentation. You already know viscerally that this is wrong, that it's evil. Dare I use that word? But it is. And, you can hear Spielberg says, and it's sort of a twist in words, is he saying that this is the truth? Is he saying that, what you're seeing is based on what's really there?
Yeah.
And is he kind of playing with the audience? Roll that back if you can, where he talked just before the end.
Just before the end here.
Yeah, we're the last time he's on camera.
Let's pull this up here.
I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true? And I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know all of this is true?
So wouldn't it be nice if people knew to know all of this is true? Is he telling us that all of this is true? Or is he playing with words? And I don't know that. I mean, you can run the clip again. He's very sly the way he slips that in.
He's very purposeful with that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And look at his face. So if it's being used as a launch pad for disclosure, then Donald Trump, right after this is released, is going to get up on a Friday night. It's always on a Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
To announce to the world we're not alone. And now what? All I can do is point back to the 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. The Spirit expressly says, "The latter days some will depart from the faith." Giving heed to seducing spirits from the doctrine of demons. I mean, why is that there? Why is that there? And we are in the latter days because Israel is gathered back into its homeland. Amos 9:14 and 15. That's the prophetic time clock, and it's ticking. So
Yeah, I want to come back to this earlier frame, really.
there it is. That's the slate.
We talked about this slate earlier. Now, in a previous conversation that you and I had, you made mention that it's possible that this is not manufactured footage. Let's go more into that as we're coming to here.
Remember the Jesse Marcel breaks the story on July 7th, 6th of the 7th. He's out there. And we actually in our two films on Roswell that we have, I interviewed Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr. And here's the film where we go out to the debris field and we find the piece of metal right there in my hand. So, we're not making this up. This is Jesse Marcel Sr. This is the patsy holding a piece of weather balloon, and he knows it's not a weather balloon. We have a clip of him. He's been brought back to the debris field at Roswell. He looks right at the camera. He says, yeah, they brought me in the Ramey's office and they wanted me to speak in front of microphones, but I didn't do it. I wasn't good at that. So Ramey spoke and said it was just a weather balloon. And then he looks right at the camera and says, but we both knew differently. Why? Because there was a meeting that they all had and they passed around portions of the wreckage. The real wreckage, not the weather balloon wreckage. To think that Jesse Marcel Sr. wouldn't know what, you know, what material from another planet. I mean, this the guy is the 509th Bombing Group's intelligence officer. Yeah, 509th is the bombing group that dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is not Elmer Fudd. It's not. This is a guy who's really smart. So there's the slate. Roswell, New Mexico, July 7th, 509th BG Bombing Group, RAAF, Roll 18, number 5 occupant. So the question is this the real deal? Is it a reenactment? We don't know. Is it possible that Spielberg they showed him the film, he has a copy of it, and he made a reenactment of it? And I don't know that, but it's right. It really
There's rumor that he has his own collection of artifacts.
well, yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah. He's rich enough and he's been doing this enough and he's connected enough that he could have something. So
No, I agree.
yeah. Well,
Let me end by saying this, which is first thing. If you go, I live up in the Santa Monica Mountains, but if you go down the canyon I live on, and you go to the end, and you make a left, and you go about 150, 200 yards, that's where he lives.
that's where Spielberg lives. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, this film that is
Saying,
com- was that?
I'm just saying, it's
You're-
got weird,
But this film is coming out June 12th. But we are expecting that there is other things that are going to be coming out that are not in the film. More from the government. But most importantly, we as believers in Jesus need to be able to communicate with others to help them understand what is really going on, because we do not want them to fall prey to this deception. LA, can you sum up what we've just been talking about and give people hope for this craziness that is happening?
What we're looking at is the doctrine of demons, seducing spirits. This is what, and I'm not saying Spielberg's a demon I'm not saying any of that. But this is these entities which people were trusting, guys like Stephen Greer telling you to invite them in. And Stephen, you're welcome to come on my show and mano a mano talk about it. These are not friendly ETs. You don't abduct a 5-year-old boy and implant him. How can you possibly give that a pass? But I digress as usual. We're told in scripture, we're warned of the events that we can see happening right before us. Cling to Jesus. Understand that what was written is, what was foretold is unfolding. What was written will come to pass. And we are in this window of time. Men will faint from fear when it's coming upon the earth, not from underneath it, not from the earth, from upon. For the powers of heaven will be shaken. We're told a priori before the event to be on guard. We're told some will depart from the faith. Before the event, we're warned. So what do? You know the gospel. Accept Jesus. Bring him into your heart. Walk with him. Don't have a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And know that he's warned us thousands of years before, and we're living in the time where we're seeing this unfold right in front of us. Right in front of us. So don't be deceived. Do not be deceived. The Gospels are true. Jesus is Lord. Jesus is God. Fully God, fully man. And I think he's coming back soon.
He's coming back soon, and we need to be ready. So make sure that you receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior if you haven't already. And reach out to us, put in the comments that you'd like to do that, and we'll help you with that. But LA, thank you so much for taking the time to explain this to our audience. I know you're going to share this on your channel as well, but there's so much that we just need to be aware of, and don't fall prey to this deception that is coming.
Amen. Amen.
I want to encourage everybody, grab a hold of your own copy of Rungs of Disclosure. It's going to help you understand what's really going on. And then if you want a fun read that is going to help you in other ways, The Waiting Room by L.A. Marzulli is also a great book. And it is actually, let me tell you a little bit of a secret about L.A. He has had his own near-death experience. And this book kind of explores that theme through vignettes of L.A.'s own life with some of these stories. But the message is super powerful, and it's going to change your life for eternity because of this. So get The Waiting Room and get The Rungs of Disclosure. And we've got another book coming out soon. Do you want to tease that title?
It's a Luciferian Endgame, and it talks about the connectivity between politics, prophecy, and the supernatural, which is what we see. And there's the sentence that the Holy Spirit gave me. It's the current political landscape is in direct correlation to supernatural events that happened in some cases millennia ago, which is exactly what we see on the world stage. Supernatural events have colored the body politic in Islam. Supernatural events color the body politic in Israel. Moses getting the 10 Commandments. Color the body politic in the United States. Jesus. It's a Christian nation, in spite of what President Obama said. It is a Christian nation, and it needs to continue to be one.
Yeah. So make sure that you go to lamarzulli.net for his website to get information about things to come. Sign up for his email list and subscribe to his YouTube channel and also to Charisma Media. LA, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you, brother.
Death comes for us all. Today, it came for Bob.
This is your life, Mr. Frisbee. You can call me Mr. O. Time does not exist here. We will go through every person you have ever wronged and everyone who has wronged you.
I can't forgive him! Bob, come down here.
Aunt Mary?
You cannot enter heaven with hatred in your heart.
Take my hand, Bob. We'll go together. Are you escaping, Bob?
Stay back!
Bob Frisbee must face every sin of his past. Will he find forgiveness in his heart or surrender to the darkness? Find out in the brand new novel by L.A. Marzulli, The Waiting Room.